The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache.
Welcome to another edition of Press Pass Live. Let's jump right into it and welcome the two greatest co-hosts on the planet, Mr. Winnibus and Mr. Dogs. Welcome, gentlemen.
Wow, that's a welcome.
Glad to be here again.
It's another week in the books, another 3 weeks, I should say, in the books here in Grown Folks, and we're at the postseason, fellas. It's week 17. Of course, week 17 is only forgotten quicker by the Super Bowl champion, because between week 17 and the Super Bowl champion, everybody's ready to just move on past those. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We'll catch you up weeks 14, 15, and 16. And then we've got a great show planned. I can't wait to get into it. So let's look at it right now. Week 14, you got the Redskins beating up on the 49ers 37-14. The Cardinals doing what the Cardinals do, shutting out the Titans 20-0. The Patriots with a big 45-31 victory over the Raiders at home. Our Jets coming through with a victory 28-20. Let me see what else we got here. We got the Chargers 27, the Chiefs 20 in a really tight game there in San Diego. The Seahawks coming away with a 35-24 victory over the Colts. The Saints coming away with a 34-28 sim victory over the Panthers. The Lions with a 23-7 victory over the Packers. The Texans finally getting a road win for the road teams, 31-24 over the Bills. The Jaguars with a 21-7 victory over the Dolphins. The Giants whip up on the helpless Rams, 45-20. We didn't see that one coming. The Falcons with a 29-17 victory over the Cowboys. The Browns hang a 50-burger on the Steelers. That has to be a sim victory. Pretty sure it was, 50-21. The Broncos beat up on the Eagles, 28-20. The Bears with a big victory over the Ravens, 17-7. And finally, the Vikings wrap up Week 14 with a 35-10 victory over the Bengals. That moves us right into Week 15, where the Eagles get a 3-point field goal victory against the 49ers. The Titans with a 27-16 victory over the Texans. The Cowboys 31, Seahawks 7. Falcons beat up on my Saints 21-10. The Lions with a 30-13 victory over the Ravens. The Colts 23, the Rams 18. The Chiefs coming away with a 31-24 victory over the Raiders. The Buccaneers 24, the Panthers 20. The Steelers with a nice win at home against the Bengals, 27-13. The Browns 31, the Vikings 10. The Patriots with a road victory, 24-17 over the Chargers. The Jets with a nice victory over the Bills, 28-21. The Cardinals with a 28-10 victory over the Jaguars. The Redskins 34, the Giants 28. The Broncos 23, the Dolphins 17. The Bears with another victory, 20-17 over the Packers on the road. And that brings us to the last week that we need to catch up on, Week 16. The Seahawks come away with a sim victory. Thank you, Madden, for these great scores that we get in sim games. 63-7 over the 49ers, who actually was in the hospital this week, and so we hope he is back home and doing well. The Broncos with a 38-31 victory over the Raiders. The Packers stunning the Panthers 27-20. The Chargers with a 22-9 victory over the Jets to kind of end their playoff hopes. I'm sure the Dogs will be talking about that tonight. The Texans 28, the Jaguars 13. The Vikings with a sim victory over the Falcons 48-3. The Redskins 45, the Eagles 9, the Giants 30, the Cowboys 10. The Browns hang 44 on the Colts, 44-16. My Saints beat up on the Buccaneers 24-10. The Dolphins come away with a shocking victory, 24-21 over the Chiefs. The Lions with an impressive win, 21-3 to keep their playoff hopes alive against the Bears. The Cardinals do what the Cardinals do, 23-19 over the Rams. The Cardinals move to 14-1 on the season. The Patriots with a 24-23 victory over the Bills, killing a lot of our betting thread playoff our hopes alive and just sucked all my money dry, that's for sure. The Steelers lose to the Ravens 33-30. I think that was a simulated game, but still shocking nonetheless. The Titans with a 20-10 victory, and that is a look at weeks 14, 15, and 16 here in the Grown Folks League. Guys, why don't you tell me about what sticks out to you? One of us talk about week 16. Give me a game that stuck out to you.
Well, probably the one that I participated in, sadly enough. It is amazing that a game that had everything riding on it, I would have needed a lot of help and went out to make the playoffs. You show up at home and just short of Ronaldo Ball, running for about 136 yards, and including on the last carry of the game, 40 yards, carrying about 7 Detroit Lions on his back as he was running down the field. The only thing that stopped him was the edge of the field and the sidelines. Nobody showed up for me. Andy Dalton was terrible. Sean Mannion was better, but that ain't saying much. Kevin White couldn't catch a cold. Alshon Jeffrey couldn't catch a cold. Even though he got 5 receptions for 70 yards, he had 2 drops. Kevin White had 2 or 3 drops. And when you had the 4 turnovers and 2 of them turned into instant touchdowns for the Lions scored 7 points on offense. And basically the only proud thing other than Ronaldo Ball is my defense has held to the 21-point blackjack number. They have not given up more than 21 points in any user game that I've had with them, which is amazing considering the lack of talent on the defensive side of the ball.
Dogs, why don't you give us a game that stuck out to you in week 17 or 16?
Yeah, I would say the Patriots squeaking past the Bills 24-23. You look at the Patriots team. The guy wins close games. He rarely blows anybody out. He's a good player. The Bills getting Parker Austin back from injury in that game. Put up a good fight at home against the Patriots. The Bills don't have a lot to play for. You could easily have seen them just kind of turning it in, waiting for the offseason, getting ready for next year. But it's a good win for New England. Keep they're looking for. It looks like I believe they got the number 1 seed locked up in the AFC. So big win for them. Probably a little tighter game than he expected. Jamal Neal, another solid performance, 21 for 28, 268 yards and a touchdown. So he's got a good team, and it'll be interesting to see how he does in the playoffs.
Yeah, those kinds of games always kind of make me smile because you think here's 2 teams on complete opposite ends of the scale with their season, and you think one team's just going to kind of book it in and call it a season, and yet they come away and make it either really close or they come away with the upset victory, kind of like my Saints did over the Buccaneers this past week, and make the playoff teams question a few things as they move on into their playoff seasons, and the rest of us go home and start thinking about the off season. So speaking of playoffs, let's go ahead and talk about the playoffs. Let's talk about the AFC and NFC playoff brackets and kind of who you feel like is going to be in, who's going to be out, who's going where, who's going to do what. Dog, why don't you start off with the AFC and just tell us what you're thinking there, what's going to happen, and how that's going to come to fruition.
Yeah, the AFC, I hate to kind of be boring here, but I kind of like if you look on the Daddy Leagues page, you got, I like that 1 through 6. I think that's going to stick out. I think you got the Patriots are going to be the 1 seed at 13-2. The Titans, depending on how Madden, decides on the number 2 seed. I had Pittsburgh in the 2 seed, Tennessee in the 3. I think the Chiefs win this week to get to 9-7. Kept the Broncos at the 4. The Browns are in at the 5 seed, and I think you'll have Kansas City sitting down there after they're going to beat the Eagles at home this week to get to 9-7. They will hold the tiebreakers according to what it shows right now, and they will be the 6th seed in the playoffs on the AFC side.
Win, why don't you give us your outlook in the AFC?
Well, my AFC outlook looks remarkably similar to Dogs, but I have one key difference. Of course, you got New England, they've locked in. Pittsburgh's locked in. Tennessee is locked in pretty much as far as AFC South champs. I've got Kansas City actually winning the West in a very tightly matched race, and I actually have Denver falling out of the playoffs. I have Cleveland and the surprising. It seems improbable, but I think the Jets actually squeak in as a 6 seed. I don't think they're going to make much noise, but they squeak in as a 6 seed and say, "Hey, we made the playoffs. Cool deal. We made it. Okay, we're going home already. Dang. Okay."
Yeah, it'll be a quick trip for me if I do get there. That's for sure.
Hey, a quick trip is at least a trip. The team that really sticks out to me in this whole scenario is really the Browns. You know, they've been a surprise this season. It's been up and down, but they've quietly snuck their way right in there to a good 11-5 record and look to be on their way to the playoffs. When we take a look at the NFC, Win, why don't you give me your outlook? What do you think? Who's in? Who's out? What's going to happen here in the NFC?
Well, again, most of these are pretty much just about locked down. There's very little wiggle room left in the NFC. It's just a matter of seeding now. We've got Arizona, you've got Washington, you've got Minnesota, you got Tampa Bay, and the 2 wild cards I'm going with are the ones that are actually on the Daddy Leagues page. I'm going to stick with Detroit and the Giants squeaking in. I know he's worried about not making the playoffs, but I'm thinking borderline. Unless he just has a complete collapse, I don't see him falling out of the playoffs. He'll be a 6 seed, but I don't see him falling out of the playoffs. So that's my 6 in the NFC.
Dogs, what do you like over here in the NFC?
Yeah, it's going to stay pretty much the same there. As you said, you got Arizona, Washington locked up 1 and 2. Minnesota stays at 3. Tampa Bay is going to be 4. You got Detroit, a small change. Detroit will flip and be the 5 seed. And I think the Giants are, even with losing, I think they'll lose the last game of the season at Washington, but they'll still be 9-7 and in the playoffs. You got the Eagles. As I said a minute ago, I think Kansas City takes care of the Eagles. So there's your 6 teams in the NFC. The only change from the Daddy Leagues page is I think the Giants will slip to the 6th spot and Detroit will move up to 5.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate what happened to our Panthers owner, and it really killed a really good season that I think completely changed the NFC playoff picture. And I think the only other thing that I would have loved to see, because it just would have made my heart smile, because I am so sick of hearing the consistent crying every single day. I wish the Bears would have made it in. I wish the Lions he would have been able to beat the Lions, and I think that would have been some great justice to the league to see Wynn take his 9th team over this year and move them on over to the playoffs, especially with the Bears, a team that Manny absolutely ruined for us. I just think that would have been great. Let's go ahead here and stay in the NFC. So you kind of gave me your outlook of who you think is in. Dog, tell me who's going to make it all the way, who's going to be our NFC teams that represent the NFC in the championship game, and then who's coming out of that championship game to represent the NFC in the Grown Folks Madden League Bowl.
Yeah, like we discussed the 6 teams a minute ago, Arizona, Washington will be the teams getting the bye. I think you have Minnesota at 3 beating the Giants to advance, and Tampa Bay beating the Lions to advance. So that would set up a Tampa Bay at Arizona game that I think Nolan wins. So Arizona, first team into the NFC Championship. And I think Washington is going to take care of Minnesota. That should be a really good game. I just think Washington is going to win that. That would give us a matchup of the Cardinals at home taking on the Redskins. And I've got Nolan making it to the Super Bowl. That's my NFC outlook. Win, what you got?
Well, it's very difficult to pick against Nolan. It really is. He's got a 14-1 squad. Newsflash, I'm not picking against Nolan. He will ultimately make Super Bowl. I think his opponent, however, might be a bit of a surprise. I actually see Tampa Bay making a deep run. I think Decatur Thomas is the real deal. I think he can get him going in the playoffs, even against teams that are looking to more stop the run. I think he's got just enough in the passing attack that he can upset some folks on the road. But when he gets to Arizona, he will find out that Nolan is the real deal. The run game will stop. The pass game will stop. I don't see anybody beating Nolan except Nolan. So I'm gonna be boring, and I'm gonna say the NFC champ's gonna be the Arizona Cardinals, who are the 1 seed.
Here's a number for both of you: 223. Do you know what that is?
Number of points allowed by Arizona.
the point differential between the
Oh,
Arizona Cardinals and their opponents this year. 223 points, my friends, will get you to 14-1 all day and all night. I do like Arizona coming out of the NFC, but I think there's a team that neither one of you have mentioned who's played both the Redskins and beat them, and I think will be a good matchup if they face the Buccaneers. I like the Minnesota Vikings to face the Arizona Cardinals, but I think the Arizona Cardinals are just head and shoulders above everyone else, and I just don't see anyone beating them. Let's move back over to the AFC. Now, we've given our plans of who we think is going to be in and out there. Who's going to be in the AFC, championship, and who's coming out of the AFC to face Nolan and his Cardinals here in the NFC?
okay. Well, now my tree was a little bit different than Dog's. I had the Jets being the 6th seed. I do have him going out quickly to Tennessee, however, Tennessee being the 3 seed in my little setup. I have Cleveland beating Kansas City. Then that takes Cleveland going to New England, and that takes Tennessee going to Pittsburgh. I honestly don't see much in the way of New England getting beat. They've been playing close games all year long. They're playing playoff football every single week, and whenever you play that many close games, you just get geared to the point where even if you're down a couple of points late, you just feel like you're going to win. That's a load of confidence. So I think in the AFC title game, I think it's going to be New England and it's going to be Pittsburgh, which I realize is boring. The top 2 seeds, what a shock! That's a stretch. But I will give you the shocker because they've matched up already. I think Pittsburgh is in New England's head, and if they match up even with New England having the home field advantage, I think Pittsburgh makes it and goes for a potential repeat. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with any of that. 202 is the point differential for Pittsburgh. Forget that 11-4 record. That team has been on a roll. They've had a couple of sim losses here that aren't their fault. And I like Pittsburgh against New England also, but I think Pittsburgh's going to come away with it. Dogs, give us your outlook. Who's going to represent the AFC? Who's coming out of that game to face Nolan and his Cardinals?
Yeah, I hate to sound like a bit of an echo here, but I'll go ahead and give you my rundown anyway. Obviously, New England and Pittsburgh, 1 and 2 seeds, getting the byes there. I had Kansas City matching up with Tennessee. Tennessee coming out of that game with the home win. And then had the Browns in the 4-5 game beating Denver to get to the next round. So that would give us matchups of the Patriots and Browns. Patriots on to the AFC Championship, and Pittsburgh beating Tennessee to get there. And just like Wynn said, it's hard to pick against Pittsburgh in any game. It's hard to pick against New England, but I'm going to do it here and say Pittsburgh on to face Arizona in the Super Bowl.
The wild card team here to me could be the Tennessee Titans, of course, another team that has quietly had a very good season, and it would depend on the Madden tiebreakers, which I don't have in front of me, but are still fighting for that number 2 seed and could really change a couple of things here in the playoffs. The Tennessee Titans could be one of those teams that shock everybody. So you've laid it out, Patriots and Steelers. You think the Steelers are coming out of there. Steelers, Cardinals, who's going to win the Grown Folks Madden League Bowl? Dogs, give me your outlook.
I got the Cardinals taking down the Steelers. If that game does end up happening, that's going to be one heck of a game. Both teams play extremely well on the defensive side of the ball. You got what I think are 2 of the best players in the Grown Folks Madden League on the defensive side of the ball. You got Arizona having Tyrann Mathieu. Obviously, he has had one heck of a year. And then on the opposite side of the ball, a guy we talked about last week in Pittsburgh, Ryan Shazier, middle linebacker. Both of those guys are excellent users at the linebacker level, and then with Nolan playing with his safety. Should be a great game. I think Nolan gets his first Super Bowl title this year, though.
I'm gonna go out even further and say I think the first team to score an offensive touchdown will be the winner, and I'm gonna hedge my bets on Jimmy Garoppolo and David Johnson. I think the run game of Arizona will be the big difference between those two guys. I think the defenses are a wash. I think they're both excellent users, like Dog said. Shazier, linebacker with that dude, and then Matthew with Nolan. I think the Steelers make one mistake in the air that Matthew gets, whether it's a pick six or not. I think Garoppolo and the Arizona offense with David Johnson running the ball, I think they get just enough. I think this is a super low scoring game. I don't see if whoever gets to 20 points, it'll be a miracle and that'll be the winner. But I think the one that gets to 20 is going to be Arizona. Arizona will win the GFML Bowl number 3.
Yeah, I think that if I'm right, this was the matchup last year in our Grown Folks Bowl, the Steelers versus the Cardinals. Here is a little misnomer that I got to break, and that here's a couple of numbers. 195, that's the points allowed by the Arizona Cardinals. 508, that's the points for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh has kind of flipped the script this year. Yes, they have one of the best players, arguably the MVP in the league, and Ryan Shazier on that team. But they are really an offensive-minded team. They're a team that runs the ball, one of the best running teams in the league. They do stop the run. They are rated extremely high. I want to say it's number 8 in the league at stopping the run, but they struggle with the ball being put in the air, whereas the Arizona Cardinals are tops in the league against everything, and they're a highly rushing team. This should be a great matchup if it happens. It'll be one of the all-time great games that we've ever seen. And I think I got to go with Arizona. I like Nolan to finally win his first championship here, and I think he's earned it. He's paid the price, and either way, we're going to have a really good game that's going to come out of there, and it should be really interesting. Let's go ahead and flip it around, though, and let's talk about Wynn's favorite subject, my favorite subject, the Grown Folks Madden League Draft. Let's talk about the kind of the 5 top draft picks. What do you see happening in the draft in that top 5? Who's going to be there? What are they going to be looking for? What do you think is going to happen? Wynn, why don't you go ahead and take this one?
Well, the top 5 picks at this point, and this is the 3 through 5 are subject to change a little bit just because of Madden's wonderful tie-breaking system. But the top 5 right now is Miami at 1, San Francisco at 2, and then I've got Buffalo at 3, or Green Bay at 3, Buffalo at 4, and Dallas at 5. They all have the same record. I believe it was 5-11 or 5-10 going into this broadcast. Miami's top need is I feel like it's cornerback. I've looked at their cornerbacks, and like Chicago, they've pretty much been decimated by stupidity at the GM position. And this is, of course, before combine numbers are thrown out there. I see them taking the top cornerback off the board. I see him taking Jose Sims out of Michigan State, 6'2", 205 pounds. Big guy, covers real well. He's a phenomenal specimen as far as coverage-wise. The big thing is the 6'2" frame. Can he run? Can he get the speed down the field? Can he cover the fast wide receivers? That'll be the big question mark going into the combine. That'll be something that people that watch the combine numbers, they'll be watching. San Francisco at the 2 spot. Hey, this is a former team of mine. I'd probably say that their biggest need right now is probably just playmakers. I'm thinking wide receiver position, maybe tight end, but tight end's a little early to take it too. Their offensive line is pretty well set. They could also take a halfback, but I see them going Tank Graham. Another Michigan State kid. So Michigan State would go 1-2 in this. 6'4", 233 pounds, big, huge kid. Gets off the press real well, has great hands, loves to go up and sky for the ball, and at 6'4", how can you blame him? With whoever they've got quarterbacking out there right now, they've got Johnny Manziel and Phillip Rivers, but Phillip Rivers is getting up there in age, so maybe they move on to Johnny Manziel. That would give Manziel a nice big target to go with guys like Torrey Smith and Robert Woods. That would be a nice little threesome of wide receivers. Going to the 3 spot, we've got Green Bay. Green Bay is an interesting cat. I'm not really sure where he goes with this. I'm going to go and say that he is also going to take cornerback. And since Jose's off the board, I'm going to go with the double-named Russell. 6-foot kid out of USC, 186 pounds. another kid with phenomenal coverage skills across the board, has no real weakness in his cover game. But again, at that 6-foot frame, even though he's 186 pounds, how fast is he? What's his combine numbers look like? How's his speed going to measure up? And that'll ultimately determine where he goes. But I see Green Bay taking cornerback as well. I think this is going to be a really cornerback heavy draft, both because there's talent there in this year's draft and because there's a lot of teams that need cornerback, my team very much included. Buffalo is one of those rare teams that actually has some cornerbacks. I think they go defensive. I think they go defensive line. I think they've got some playmakers at some levels, but you're probably going to get rid of Mario Williams because he was paid $24 million this year at 32 years of age. You kind of want to move on from that contract. I'm thinking he sticks with a 3-4 set. I'm going to give him Artavius Arnold out of Wisconsin, a left end, 6'7", 295 pounds, a big run stopper plug guy. He's projected as an early second round pick, but he's got phenomenal pass rush moves for a big guy. He's a great tackler. He loves to lay the wood on people. He's a great big hitter. That's always good to have at that anchor position. You want to be able to hold the edge in a 3-4. So that's why I see Buffalo taking Artavius Arnold there. I think that'd be a solid pickup for him, boost up that defensive line for him, and allow them to kind of move on from Mario Williams. And then the 5th pick in the draft would be I believe the Dallas Cowboys. Steve, I don't know where he wants to go. I would probably go with linebackers for him. I'm not exactly sure how he's wanting to play it as far as from that point. I don't think he takes a cornerback at this point. I think he's okay there. Potentially, he could also take a wide receiver to go with Dez Bryant, but ultimately, I'm going to say he is going to take Shamir Jordan. It's a 6'3", 258, another Michigan State kid. I'm loving these Michigan State kids in the top 5. More of a 3-4 style pass rusher. Guy that has good block shed, though, good pursuit. He could easily put his hand in the dirt and go down in a 4-3 stance and play 4-3 defensive end for him and give Steve even more weapons out there with Gregory and with DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, he's got some weapons there on the edge, and this will just give him another edge rusher. And that's the guy that's the top 5 at this point. That's what I would say would be going on with those guys. That's what I would see.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. This draft is very deep at the cornerback position. I think there's a lot of guys that need cornerback, but of course, I think this is one of the most cornerback-heavy drafts that we've seen here in Grown Folks so far. And I think with teams like Dallas, with Buffalo, they just need an infusion of talent, a lot like what you said with San Francisco. I really like the Packers. I think they've had a couple of down years here. They've really stacked up on some really high-end talent, and I think that'll be a team that if he can have a solid draft, come back next year, he should make some noise. Dog, I want you to give me a rundown of your top 5. What do you see happening here in one of our favorite areas, the draft?
Yeah, it should be another exciting draft for us. Got Miami with the number 1 overall pick, taking Tank Graham, wide receiver out of Michigan State, 6'4", 233. He's a big guy. Like Wynn said, I think we'll have to see how he rates out speed-wise. But when you look at Miami, they're in need of some playmakers on the outside, and I think that's a spot where he could pick up somebody to give him some weapons. He's got a good running back in Lamar Miller. He's got Crabtree. He's got Jarvis Landry, who's a good receiver. Crabtree's getting older, and then you look down. He's got Danny Amendola, Rashard Matthews, Brandon Tate, a rookie, Casey Alberry. So I think receiver is a good fit there for the Dolphins. That pick should definitely going to be the number 1 overall pick for Miami. So we'll see how he goes with that. I got him taking Tank Graham. When you look down from there at number 2, go to the 49ers. I got the 49ers taking a quarterback with their first overall pick. Tim Blake out of Florida is the guy I think he's going to take, 6'4", 224. He's a pocket passer, projected early first-round pick. He's got excellent throw power. He's got good consistency and short accuracy. Like I say, he's projected early first round. I think San Francisco gets the quarterback that they want. You look at their depth chart with Phillip Rivers and Johnny Manziel. I think he gets his own quarterback in there and goes with Tim Blake out of Florida. The next guy coming down the list, we're going to get to those cornerbacks. And this order could change. I had the Bills sitting at the third pick, taking Jose Sims, a guy that Wynn also mentioned, Michigan State, 6'2", 205. He's a prototype cornerback. He is good zone coverage, good man coverage, good press, good all the way across the board. I think we got a lot of good cornerbacks that we were talking about. Once you get those combine grades, I think that's going to really determine which way guys go. Of course, speed is always a plus in the corner position with some of the faster wide receivers. Sticking with the cornerback, I got the Cowboys taken with the 4th overall pick. Russell, another guy that Wynn mentioned out of USC, 6 foot 186. Good zone cover, good man cover, good press again there for him. Give Dallas a good pick for the secondary there. Then you look at Green Bay, picking 5th overall. You're going to look at the I guess we were in each other's heads when we were doing this. Shamir Jordan, left outside linebacker out of Michigan State, 6'3", 258. He's a 3-4 pass rusher, good pursuit, good block shed. I know Green Bay loves him some linebackers, so Shamir Jordan, Michigan State, going number 5 overall to the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I think Madden just has something with the name Russell. Everybody seems to be named Russell. And who would not want a guy on your team named Russell? That is the guy that you want, to lead your defense. So there you have it, guys. It's another look at the Grown Folks Madden League, weeks 14, 15, 16. We've taken a look at the playoffs. And to kind of wrap up the show here, next week's going to be a fun show. We're going to be in the middle of the playoffs. Going to see if our predictions have come true. Who knows, if things really take off and go quickly, we may even be on the cusp of the bowl game or even the offseason. And we're going to take a look at some possible award winners, maybe some nominations, some guys that kind of stick out to us. I'm going to get to take a look even at a deeper look at the draft, which I know is something that Wynn is extremely good at and something that I'm excited to do here. The draft shows are always my favorite thing that we get to do every single year. Sorry. Last year, we seemed to have one of the best pre-draft, I should say, shows that we've ever had. And he got messed up and didn't get recorded. So I'm looking forward to this year. Looking forward to doing another draft show with you guys. And it should be a whole lot of fun. Sorry, my throat seems to be wanting to kill me all of a sudden. But that is a look at our league as we kind of move into the season here. I want to spend a couple of minutes, and you guys may even want to have some input here and just kind of talk to the league about where we're at. I know that we've had a lot of movement here this whole season. We've had a lot of owner movement. We've had some guys kind of come and go, and I really like the group that we have. Of course, we are down 2 owners right now as we are looking around for some guys to come and join us, with the Panthers and the Falcons deciding that this league wasn't a good fit for them. One of the things that I really enjoy is we have a great board, and I feel like we've got guys that bring a lot of talent and a lot of different backgrounds, whether it's Madden and in life, to the table. And because of that, we're able to really get a plethora of ideas and really are able to dig at some really difficult conversations to figure out how's the best way to run a Madden league. And also because of that, we know who we are and we know what we're all about. And this is always going to be an old-fashioned type of league, one that is very form-heavy, that we want to use those forms. We want that communication. We've got to have games scheduled on there. And I also posted that we're going to have some big announcements. And so I just wanted you to know, the owners, as you guys listen to this, that the league is as stable as ever. I feel like we have built something extremely great here, coming from a league that is still the longest online league that I know of in the world, that is in existence since 2001 as a PC Madden league, whenever online leagues first came to fruition. I was worried that we wouldn't be able to even come close to something like that, but we are. I got lucky. We've got great guys like Win and Dogs and Steve and Nolan and Chaotic and Bleeding and all these great guys and these great owners that pour a lot into the league. I think this year we're going to award the most incentive award winners that we've ever awarded because we've got the most guys who are posting blogs, who are active in our chat, who are participating in the betting threads and the extra content that we have going on. Even tonight, we've had a couple of callers to the show. So I really appreciate that. I just want to say that the league, even though we're down a couple of owners right now, we are working extremely hard. And our special announcement that will come out a little later tonight after the show's over, and of course after my family has called it a night and I have put my kids to bed, we're going to make some announcements about streamlining the off-season, streamlining the rules, not loosening up on anything, but just trying to make things easier to remember and really pinpoint, especially bear down on the off-season, how we can make what we do as easy as possible. And I feel like we've got some really, really great ideas that I'm super excited about announcing. Trades are going to be better. Free agents are going to be better. Contracts are going to be better. We've learned some lessons over this past Madden with some guys coming in and really, really messing up some teams. And I'm thankful that we've had Win around, who has always been the first one to speak up and take over a pretty ran down team and fix them. And he had the Bears right there on the cusp of making the playoffs after taking them over halfway through the season in a pretty large hole. And so we've learned some great lessons, and we've taken some things that other leagues have done and we've made them our own. We've thought outside the box on some issues like waiver wires. We've had to approach some tough subjects like the fourth down rule and what do we do during desync games and how do we make this easy for everyone. And I'm excited that we're going to announce that. We're also talking about nominations right now as a board, and we've got the post up so that owners can chime in on what they would like to see happen in the league. Of course, the position change is already up. A lot of really, really good things are happening right now in the league. And, of course, it's always fun around playoff time because everybody gets excited about either the offseason or making a run in the playoffs. And so I just want to take a moment and thank you two for helping me do this show, making it to where it's not just me speaking to myself. We do a great job with the draft, and I'm just super excited about where we're going. It's work, and you guys all put in, especially the board, puts in a ton of thankless hours, and we deal with pretty upset people sometimes and have to have some unfun conversations, but we do it in a great way, and we try to treat everybody with a ton of respect. I know that there is this feeling out there that we are not patient with guys, but nothing can be further with the truth. I think that we go out of our way to be super patient, and we try to really give guys multiple opportunities to really do what we expect from owners and be a part of the group and follow the rules that we have. I hate rule books, but we have to have them. You have to spell things out, or guys will push it as far as they can. But we're going to really streamline everything, and I'm excited about where we're going. And our favorite time of the year is here. It's the off season. It's almost here, at least. And then it's the draft time, which is absolutely my favorite thing. So, Dog, is there anything you want to throw in there before we call it a night?
Well, since my season ended week 16, off season started week 16, day 2. So, yeah, I'm already sipping Mai Tais on the beach and waiting for people to negotiate some deals. I think you said a good bit. I think if I could piggyback a little bit and steal some of Dog's thunder, I do think we show a lot of patience and sometimes too much patience, but it's for the greater good. The guys that we have now, for the most part, are very respectful. They understand the rules, and they understand there's got to be rules. We're always going to have some guys on the fringe that think we're doing too much or not doing enough, and those guys are definitely in the minority. We saw some of them leave this past week. I think that though the core group of the guys we have are some of the better guys out there. I would love to see us get full again. I don't see it happen in this Madden cycle, but if we did, that would be awesome. And just again, thank you to our owners for because without them, we don't have a league. no matter what we may do, work, thankless hours, whatever. There's no point in doing it if we're doing it for just the 6 of us. So thank you to the guys that show up and do things right way. We definitely appreciate it more than you'll ever know.
Yeah, I would have to agree with everything that you guys have said. First of all, thank you to all those guys out there that do the right thing and listen to the feedback, because like Nate said, sometimes those conversations aren't easy. Sometimes it's not easy to take constructive criticism, but it's always meant to only be helpful. We don't attack guys, and we want them. We want you to to get better and to do what not what we want you to do, but to follow the rules and play within those rules and make it a fair playing field for everybody. I do think we have a great group of guys. There's a lot of respect between all the different conversations that I get to have with different people. A lot of nice guys out there. Some like I said, that's not an easy conversation to have, and it's just always take it as their tips to help you improve your gameplay, or point out a rule that you may have missed, or it's always meant to help. Nothing that is ever meant personal towards anyone. It's always just meant to help. That's what we're here to do. That's why we do it. That's we want to have a successful league, and to do that, we sometimes have to have those conversations. But I've thoroughly enjoyed being a part of the league, and glad to put in the extra work to make it what it is. And I think everyone's doing a great job. Looking forward to continuing it. So, Nate, thank you for all your hard work. Win, thank you. Everybody, like I said, everybody does a great job. So, I think we got a good thing going. Looking forward to seeing how we keep improving and working to make it a better place to be.
It's a love fest here in Grown Folks on Press Pass Live, but that is going to do it. You know what? We have said it. We've said it all. We've probably said a little bit too much, and it was another great show. Thank you for the guys. I think we actually had a call from England. Imagine that, Mr. Aaron, who has rejoined us here tonight. Thank you guys. For my co-hosts, Win and Dog, thank you for listening and for tuning in. We will see you next week as we progress into the playoffs, and we look forward to the draft. We'll see you on the other side, guys. Peace out.